When my daughter was young, a nightly ritual that I had was to read stories to her from the children's series, The Magic Tree House. As you may be familiar, the Magic Tree House series talks about various adventures of Jack and Annie as they go through various historical time periods. One evening, I was reading the story of the Magic Tree House, where Jack and Annie go back in time to the American Civil War. I remember sitting on my daughter's bed, and her body was very small, only filling part of the bed. And I was reading to her a story about Annie, taking care of a black man. She asked him where he was from, and he explained that he had been a slave. I was about to keep reading, and my daughter stopped me, and she said, "What's a slave?" And I remember at that moment, my eyes grew kind of hot. They started to sting. And I was wondering how I can begin to explain slavery in America, about why some people, because of the color of their skin, are owned by other people. I wasn't ready at that time to talk about it, but I had to. And I thought to myself, when is the right time to talk about something like that? I don't remember exactly what I said, but I did the best I could to explain to her the long historical context of the treatment of one group of people by others. We're in a time now where we see daily in our news a series of injustices perpetrated upon people because of the color of their skin, perpetrated by those who are supposed to protect and serve us. And it has led, understandably, to rage and frustration. Not all of us may understand this rage. Many of us may be challenged to understand the protests and may be troubled by it. And that I understand. But I do understand as well that the rage that we see is part of a continuum of a long history of injustice, made only the more profound and noticeable by recent events. The enormity of these issues, the complex social and cultural history of these issues, may make us at the one time anxious to do something about it and unsure what it is we're supposed to do. How does any one of us take action in a meaningful way? And I understand that feeling, and I've been struggling with that as well. And to that, I'll just share a few thoughts, none of which have magical answers, but I think maybe as a start. First, let's just try to be aware, try to understand what's going on. Second, in the same way that I had to talk to my daughter about race, we have to talk about race. If we're not going to talk about it now, when are we going to talk about it? We need to talk about it with our kids. We need to talk about it with each other. We need to talk about it at the dining table. And we need to confront the fact that this is an issue in our culture and in our society. We may feel sometimes, it feels like we're always talking about race. But honestly, are we? When's the last time any of us have had a long and thoughtful discussion about race? So let's do that. Let's ask questions. Let's ask why things are the way they are and how they came to be. And let's all try to resist trying to have simple answers to complex problems. And as we do this, let's try to imagine what this world is like from the perspective of other people. For those who are angered, and for those of us who don't understand, let's try to understand why they feel that way. I was speaking this morning with a student, and we were talking about how we were raised. We were raised as immigrant children, and we were taught that, if you just work hard and keep your head down and don't cause a fuss, you'll be successful. That may be. It may be that some of us can succeed just by following that formula. But our individual success doesn't absolve us of the responsibility to ensure that others have the same opportunities. Each one of us may have been able to be successful, but we have to understand what the path of other people's lives are. And we have to know that what we've been able to do may be harder for others to achieve. And it's not enough for us to say, but I made it. So what I ask you to do is to talk, to listen, to ask questions, think about the world that others experience, and let's keep doing that well after the sound of the protests fade away. Thank you all.